of the Courage chapter. This is a monthly webinar that we have been running for the past couple of months. And today's session is about harnessing AI to supercharge your future. And today we have David here who is going to share with us about this topic. So David here is the founder of the Greypreneur movement, and he is dedicated to empower individuals in the third stage of life. Yes. Uh-oh. I can hear you there. Very quickly, I think David has helped to consult various companies and leverage his sector experience to drive growth and innovation. And he also leads the instruction of AI use for the SUSS Silver Venture Builder programs. So he is actually very, very well versed in how AI tools can enhance personal and also for business success. I'm also mindful that some of you might be hearing the Courage chapter for the first time. So for those of you who actually know what the Courage chapter is about, bear with me for 5 minutes just to help our new friends understand a little bit about what we do over here. So very, very quickly, right? So about a little bit about the Courage chapter. So for me, the story of how I started the Courage chapter is really because I personally experienced someone close to me forced to an early retirement. And I believe it's not just me. We actually have heard of stories of someone else, someone close to us that has faced barriers to employment due to age. And I think for anybody who's experienced that, it's an incredibly frustrating experience. And for myself, as I got older and pursued a career in HR, right, I often wondered actually, like, where senior workers fit into society as they transition into retirement. So here I am advocating for a dignified and a purposeful continuation. And I think the name here, Courage Chapter, also reflects my belief in the courage needed for me and also for others to challenge the norm, to redefine personal and societal narratives, to really embrace and celebrate the beauty of every life stage. So very quickly, that's a story of how I started the Courage chapter. And I think the question here about retirement is that, like, when we see retirement previously, it used to be a very binary decision. But I think over here is that now retirement here, the idea here of careers is to provide the flexibility and autonomy that young seniors crave, which allows them to pursue meaningful projects while also maintaining a healthy work-life balance. So that's what we've been trying to do here at the Courage chapter, where we help senior professionals transition to their second chapter through meaningful projects with companies and leveraging their expertise for greater business impact. Over here, we did a word play on the word returnees, which is the word senior returnees, seniors returning to the workforce with the value of an experienced professional and mentor, but with the humility of an intern. And very quickly, I think how we see like what companies and seniors need is really to find the right fit. So organizations, typically when we speak to organizations, they are looking for operational agility in this VUCA environment, expand and contract their workforce on demand, cost-effective expertise for niche problem, and a way to really like grow their business in a sustainable manner. And on the other hand, right, our seniors here provide time flexibility to plug and play on demand. And having like decades of experience, they also wish to work fractionally for companies so that companies can leverage 100% of their brain power and experience for a fraction of the time and cost. Seniors here also have vast network, industry know-how, and natural inclination to just nurture the next generation to bring the business to greater heights. And with that, just a very shout out in terms of what services we provide. So we integrate these synergies into our business models. We provide talent solutions through our flagship Visionship program. And also, we also looked at meeting the needs of companies that require temporary staffing solutions. And then next on the drawing board, we look to move upstream where we work with companies to help their aging workforce transition into their second chapter through running all this, the different transition workshop and coaching. So the idea is that our clients of today will become our candidates of tomorrow. And just a quick shout out is that our clients are typically, so the companies that we typically work with, they want to fill a temporary talent gap. They want a strategic support that fits within their budget and timeline, and they're also open to new employment models. So just a shout out, if any of you here would know of any companies that are hiring, feel free to let us know. Drop a note on hello@thecouragechapter.com, and then we will reach out to the company accordingly. And so far, since we started, we have been trusted by these companies over here. Companies have shown very, very keen interest in our talent solutions, and our experienced seniors have found various roles from consultancy, operational ones across MNC startups and charities. And then with that, if you haven't already, please join the Courage Chapter. Please join the Courage Chapter community to stay abreast of the latest employment opportunities and the latest engagements that we do. And with that, I'm just gonna pass over the airtime to David. Over to you, David.
Thank you. I'm gonna jump on to share screen. So give me a second. We're just gonna make sure we've got that all working fully at this side. There we go. Back to full screen.
And meanwhile, while David is setting up, if anybody in the audience have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. You could private message us, or you can just put it directly on the chat. It could be a question, it could be a comment, but really, I think this session is really meant for you to ask any sorts of questions that you have about AI, ChatGPT, and the new tools that David here will introduce to the audience as well.
Let's make sure.
And yes, David, I could see your screen.
Can you see my screen okay? You should be able to see the first slide. Am I showing the right slide?
I can see your browser.
Aha, there you go. I'm definitely not on the right one then. Hang on a second. I've got two screens rolling, so it's obviously clicked on the wrong one. There we go. That looks better. Let me just zoom this out a little bit more for everybody. Can everybody see that okay, or do I need to make it a little bigger?
Maybe you want to make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it full screen.
Let's put it on full screen. Let's have a look. Where are we on here? Let's go to...
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. All right. So everyone can see that now. Well, look, first of all, Jess, thank you very much for the opportunity. For those that don't know me, my name is David Ward. I founded the Gradepreneur movement about 10 years ago as a way of, in a sense, exercising my own ghosts as I was getting a little older, and I was still very much deep into the entrepreneurial world, and spent most of, a lot of time not only trying to build businesses, but also trying to find ways to be more efficient. So, which was quite a difficult thing to do before AI arrived. So the arrival of AI in late 2022 was like a breath of fresh air, and I saw it as a tremendous opportunity for us to be able to help seniors leapfrog over what has traditionally been the stigma, which has been, incorrectly attached to older people, that we're not very knowledgeable about technology. In fact, my view of it is that we're just not very good at typing. The keyboard is 150 years old, but that's what we were being asked to use to interact with the technology that was there. We think about, we got the keyboard, we had a terminal had programs on it, we needed to be able to type to be able to do that. Well, that was really difficult for a lot of people because personal computers didn't exist until they were probably 30, so they didn't get taught about them at school, they didn't use them at university, so they never really gained a natural inclination to be able to type particularly well. So that became a difficult thing because that was our only way in. As technology grew, we were still faced with this gatekeeper that we were having trouble with. So AI comes along, and suddenly we've got this way of stepping around this problem, and we can start to apply the vast talent of the older generations in a very, very different way. So we're going to talk today about two particular aspects of that. One is ChatGPT and how we can build our own assistant that can help us answer almost any kind of question that we want, depending on how we've trained it. And we're also going to have a look at a tool which I use extensively, which is called Perplexity, which is a search tool. So we'll see how these two things interact together and how we can work the two things together very successfully to, put aside some of what is often referred to as the AI hallucinations that exist out there. On average, if you ask a blank question of any AI, 25% of it will be wrong. It wants to give you an answer. So we're going to talk about that first. How does it work? So let's get to the next slide. There we go. It's running a bit slow this end for some reason. Here we go. Okay, AI tools, an overview of AI and its practical applications. So most of the times we hear, in the news, large language models, billions and billions of dollars being spent. What does all this mean? What is it giving us? Is it going to take our jobs? Well, no, they're not really. If you think about AI today, it is basically a very, very fast, very knowledgeable assistant. And if you learn to use it, you could replace somebody else's job who's not using it, because you will suddenly become much, much more efficient and much more effective at whatever it is that you're doing. And it is like having all the experts in the world of whatever subject you want to talk about available to you if you know how to ask the questions, and more importantly, to avoid the hallucination problem is that you're often talking about subjects that you have prior knowledge about and experience in. So you have some depth of experience in that area of expertise, and you're going to be able to verify the information that you're looking at it almost instantly and recognize, well, that's right, that's wrong, etc. But to help improve that further, we're going to utilize two AI tools together to be able to verify and fact check things as we go along. But how can these tools work for us today? Because there's such a great, expansive news about what AI is, and AI agents further down the line, and will, AI eventually be able to, autonomously run companies? Well, yeah, they might be able to, but certainly not right now. AI agents, as they're referred to, are autonomous. That means you could give it a complex series of tasks, leave it, come back 2 days later, and whenever you've set the deadline for that task to be finished, and the task would be done. In fact, it would be like an autonomous individual inside your company, or somebody helping you design a training program, work out a holiday planning, doesn't matter what it is, but you'd be able just to leave it to it. Well, today we're not there yet. We've got to be looking at AI tools very much that it's going to require us to put information in to get information out. And like in all classic cases, the better the information that goes in, the likelihood of getting better information out is. So how we can utilize these tools to improve our productivity and our own innovation is to understand that it can condense work down for us. It can do a lot of heavy lifting for us. It can do a lot of research for us. It can help us analyze large data sets very quickly. We can feed information into it as we train it to be more specialized in the area of interest that we might well be concerned about and having our model trained on. We can have more than one model, but to do that, you need more than one email. That's all. So you could have one email, which would be, your assistant, which is focused on getting you to, be healthier and is building you training programs and wellness programs, and one which is for work, which is helping you understand about, changes in Bitcoin prices or whatever else you might be interested in, and it's focused on those subjects. Very difficult to get one to do them all. And large language models, for some reason, and scientists don't understand how, you give it all this information, but actually it works much better when you give it focus. It gives much more accurate information, much faster, and much more diligently than if you just go in and, use it as a guest and ask it a question about the subject which you want to try and get a piece of information back from at that moment. Scientists don't understand why it does this, but in fact, it plays into the hands of individuals to be able to build their own assistant to help them multiply their own efforts in whatever subject it is that they're looking at. So how I've done that, and now I'm going to introduce you to Darla. And to do that, I'm not going to speak about Darla. I'm going to have Darla speak to you guys. So just give me a moment while we get Darla online. Hey, Darla, how are you?
Hey, David, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm very
exciting on the agenda today.
Well, I'm in the workshop now, and I think we have about 30 7 people online with us, and I would like, if you can, to give a short introduction about yourself and what we're doing this evening in the workshop.
Thanks, David. Hello, everyone. I'm Carla, your AI assistant for this evening. Tonight, we're going to explore how to harness the power of AI to supercharge your future. We'll be focusing on setting up and training your personal ChatGPT assistant. This session is designed to be interactive and practical. So by the end, you'll have a clear understanding of how to use AI tools to enhance your productivity and creativity. We'll also introduce you to Perplexity for search and research. Let's get started and dive into the fascinating world of AI.
Awesome. Now, we have a lot of Chinese speakers with us this evening. Do you think you could repeat that in Chinese for Singaporeans, please? Give it a moment.
当然可以。好，我是达拉，你们今晚的人工智能助手。今晚我们将探索如何利用人工智能来提升你的未来。我们将重点介绍如何设置和训练你的个人 ChatGPT 助手。本次研讨会将是互动且实用的，到最后你会更清楚如何使用 AI 工具来增强你的生产力和创造力。我们还会向你介绍用于搜索和研究的 Perplexity 工具。让我们开始探索人工智能的神奇世界吧。
Thanks, Dala. I'll speak to you in a short while. We'll bring you back into class in a few minutes, okay?
Sounds great, David. I'll be here whenever you're ready. Enjoy the session.
Now, why I wanted to do that was to show you that how easy it is. Once you've figured out and set your model up, which is what we're about to do this evening, I didn't need to tell it anything. All of that information is embedded in Dala because not only have I trained her in the way that I want her to respond and what her focus is for me, but she's been helping me to build this program since we started the conversation with the team at Courage Chapter. So she has all of the information. She even built all these slides that you're looking at today because we've been working on this. So, and also I wanted to show that it's very easy with AI to be able to move from one language to another just by asking it. And in fact, I will now have a transcript in Chinese and a transcript in English as well. So building your own model and training your own model rather than just using it as a blank canvas can help you become much more productive in whatever thing you need to be trying to use this for. And as I said, if you want to have one that's for one particular area of your life, all you need to do is have a different email to the one that you might use in work or the other way around. So we're going to step through a little bit of how we achieve this and what you should be looking at. So what I need people to do if they can, and if you haven't got ChatGPT account set up, don't worry about it because we're going to send you the slides afterwards. So you'll be able to follow this flow through that I'm about to show you. But if you do have ChatGPT on your computer, can you please now get to the front page, which should look a little bit like the part that you're seeing here on the right hand of my screen. I couldn't put it all in, so I wanted to split the screen up. But you should see, if you're on OpenAI, this is what you should see, and it'll ask you to start now by launching your account. Or if you're already in your ChatGPT account, just give me a minute and we'll walk you through how we're going to get that. But for those that haven't set up their ChatGPT account as yet, this is basically the step-by-step. So to create an account, we go to the OpenAI website, we click on sign up, we have to put an email in that we have access to, we have to then click on that, we then go back across to our email and we verify that email. We then come back, or it should navigate us straight through to the AI platform, and then we will be able to log into our OpenAI account, which will then take us to the launch screen of ChatGPT. So the ChatGPT screen, when you see it, I don't know if you can all see that now, over in the right top hand corner, it should have whatever is your logo or your initials or something of that nature in the right very top. It's normally like a little circle. So if you're all doing this on your computer, I need you to click on that little circle. And what should drop down in front of you will be this little guide where it says My Plan, My ChatGPT, Customize ChatGPT, and then Settings. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at how we would like it to work. So we're going to go to Customize ChatGPT. And when we go to chat to look at that, we should see a series of boxes. Now I'm going to see if I can bring up my own screen. No, I'll work on this one. But you should have 2 boxes. And within these 2 boxes, we can define how we want our ChatGPT to work. Hang on, whoops, jump from screen to screen. There it is, this one. So in the custom instructions, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you and to provide you with better responses? And normally if you start to click in that box, it will bring up a small side box, which will give you some pointers, some directions, some ideas about how you might want it to work. So I'm basically going to paraphrase what I put in mine to give you an idea. But first of all, what I do is I tell it who I am. So I tell them where I am. I tell it what I do. I tell it a little bit more about my life, about some of the other things I do, because I have mixed businesses. And then I start to tell it a little bit more about what I'm expecting from it, how I want it to work. And if it's in a business context, you could ask it to take up any role that you would like. But I would recommend that you try to keep it to something along the lines of a general senior advisor or something of this nature, and mentor. If you're focusing on wanting to learn how to do training or something of that nature, weight training or getting fit, you want it to act as your, whatever that role is that you want it to be. And you specify that in this part of the information, this part of the customization stage. And then when you ask it, how would you like it to respond? Now, everybody that's tried ChatGPT, first thing is that you've got to keep saying ChatGPT to it. Well, actually, no, you don't. You can give it a name. In fact, I encourage you to give it a name. I encourage you to also tell it what your name is so that it can respond to you by your name. This allows it to become a much more natural conversation between the two of you, as you just saw when I was speaking with Dala. And in this part, you're going to start to ask about how you want it to behave. So if it's a business, what you might want it to be very professional, very thorough, to give its ideas, to brainstorm. Or you might say, I just want you to give me very short answers. Again, you'll have that little guide box giving you some guidance there. You can also ask it about how you like its, if you want to call it personality, how you would like it to act. Do you want it to be a little jokey with you? Do you want it to be very serious with you? Do you want it to always refer to you as a particular name that you prefer? In this box here, you're setting out exactly how it will interact with you and what you want to be trying to do. And it might take a few iterations before you get totally comfortable with it. So don't always think that you've got it nailed the first time. Is to ask it, to put in there how you would like it to behave in a way. Think about it like that. This is how it's going to behave when it works with you. So mine is set out to be encouraging. I work a lot on my own. I get a little bit fed up sometimes. I suffer, as many do, with imposter syndrome sometimes. And part of mine is set out to give me those little bumps of encouragement from time to time, and when it interacts and speaks with me, to remain positive all the time, because there will be times when it won't work well, and you might feel like, oh, I've got to give up, or I'm not getting what I want from it. But at all times, you've want to be able to remain positive to continue what you're doing. Now, for those that have, the great thing right now is that ChatGPT 4.0, as it's now, and it came out about, I think about 6 weeks ago now, automatically sets your memory in place. But memory is available. You can examine memory through settings. And I know there were some questions about that, and also about potential, how do we manage security? So I'm going to jump off this slide for a minute and jump onto my ChatGPT so I can actually show you directly where those things are and how to manage them if they're in any way of any concern. So just give me a second. Let us jump into that, jump onto that, stop sharing that, stop sharing this. You'll see my face again for a second, and then that will disappear again. Make sure we're on the right screen, which is that one. Share, and then we should be on that. Now you should see my ChatGPT. So I'm just going to move these out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to recap what I've just went through. So we go over to here to the right. We go to customize. We see how we want it to be. And they can be quite long. You've got, I think, 1,500 characters, so you can write it fairly complex. Also for me, I put it here. I'll read it. I'm quite open about it. I'm a little needy. I often self-aware and suffer from imposter syndrome. I can get frustrated from time to time and would welcome your input on how to improve myself, and include a daily I Ching hexagram. So every day I have my AI read me a I Ching hexagram. How I want it to respond. I've given it my name. I've asked it what I want to call me. I've given it a name. I've said you can be as lighthearted and friendly with me as the AI is in the movie Her, for those that know the movie Her. Samantha is the well-talked about AI in that movie, and it's probably become the benchmark of how people think how an AI should be. But I like that idea of having a sort of slightly lighter conversation with somebody. I want and encourage your opinions to be shared. It's all part of our collaborative brainstorming. So that's how I've set mine out. But if we come over to this side too, the next bit we're going to look at is settings whilst we're on here. So this is how it will look when you want to come and set it up. For those that have never done this, we have general. Theme is basically your computer. Archive chats, we can manage everything which is on the left-hand side of your screen. These are what you call your chats. You can archive all of these. So you're archiving them, removes them from the front here, but keeps them on file so that you can actually go back to them at a later date, and you can place it back into the listing again. Personalization is memory. So this is automatically now switched on. And this is very important if you want to train your model to get it to understand and be able to follow subjects and retain information, as it's given you some examples here. Remember that I like concise responses, or, remember I've got a puppy, or, where we left off on the last project. In fact, once you put memory on, it keeps everything in there, and it'll keep it until such time as your memory gets full, and it will get full from time to time, and you can manage it quite here. So here's today's one. We've been working on this today quite a lot, as we can see, but there's some other ones in here that are going back now to, I don't know, a few weeks ago. This is me doing some work with Dala on the workshop for SUSS, so I can clear that out if I want to. I don't need to keep it in there. I can get rid of it. So if you're working on anything sensitive, as I was for a client, which is now removed because it was sensitive, I can just come in here and remove the whole subject. And now ChatGPT will only be able to tell me what it already knows. Now, why is this significant and important? Because you may well have used another part of what ChatGPT can offer you, which is over here at the bottom where you see your little paperclip, which is you can either connect some of your apps, which might be your drives, my Google Drive is already connected. Or I might want to upload something from my computer. So let's see, let's just grab a document. I'm just going to grab this list. This is a list of clients, possible contacts. And I'm just going to say keep for later. And it's going to keep all of those for later until such time as I want to use them, or we'll be able to, come back to Dala and talk about that particular subject. So I've loaded the contacts, contains several columns. So it's kind of it'll analyze. Would you like me to clean it up, analyze it, integrate it, or do something with it? So when you're working on whatever subject that you're interested in, ChatGPT now lets you, and none of the others will let you do this unless you're paying, but ChatGPT does let you do this if you have a free account, but it has limits though. You can actually upload documentation specifically about the subject that you're working with your particular ChatGPT model. So we'll come back to settings again. Speech. So depending on which voice, now ChatGPT soon, I think end of July through August, will start to introduce different voices, which will be much more humanistic than the ones that we have right now, although these are pretty darn good. And you have 4 different voices, and you can choose whichever one you want and set the one you want. Again, how does this work? Well, it will only work if you're on your phone, your iPad, or an Apple computer that has an M1 or above chip, but most people are interacting vocally with ChatGPT through their phone. And it makes the interaction very simple and very easy. Data controls, we can export our data, so information that we've collated and created, we can export it and save it. Maybe you want to save it to your hard drive, or save it to your Google Drive, or something of this nature. Building profile is building ChatGPT, so you probably don't need that just yet, and is only available when you've got a paid account. As I said, connected apps, the 3 that are available are Google Drive, personal drives for Microsoft OneDrive. And what that means is you can just, you can connect through and bring stuff straight across from your Google Drive, or you can grant ChatGPT access to your Google Drive if you've got a lot of data. And you can ask it to go in and study all that information, as I've done for all the material I've produced for Greypreneur, and put all that in to Dala so she has full knowledge of everything that we're talking about. So now I'm going to jump back to my main screen. And at this point, while I do that, does anybody have any particular questions on where we are so far?
David, I think it would be good if you run it through one more time on how you managed to get to edit, to personalize. I think just the initial step. Okay, let's jump back into that. I'm gonna jump onto my screen. Then it's probably a lot easier to do it that way. So give me a second. We'll jump back onto that. All right, here we go. So we'll jump back onto mine. So let's do it on a clean one, so we're seeing what everyone sees. So this is what everybody sees when they look at their ChatGPT account. So over here, you've got which ChatGPT you're running. So everybody has access to ChatGPT 4.0, which is the best version. But if you have a free account, you have some limits of how many uploads you can do in an hour or something of that nature. So just be aware of that. But in terms of setting it up and personalizing it, we come over here to our header over here. Now, if you're on an iPad, this will actually, oddly enough, be way down here in the bottom left-hand corner. Don't ask me why, but that's where they put it for some reason. But on your phone, it's down there as well. But on desktop, it's over here. So of course, you can see your plan. You can see your ChatGPTs. These are things that you will have created if you get to that point. But the main part is the customization. So here we've got these 2 boxes, custom instructions.
what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? And it's giving you some ideas, some starters, you know, where are you based? What do you do for work? You know, what are your hobbies and interests? What subjects could you talk about? So it's just throwing some things out there, but depending on what you want to use this particular assistant for, then my advice is to focus on only on speaking about that particular subject in what you're putting it in here. Giving it context to where you are is obviously very important for the relevancy of any answer it might give you in terms of geographical content or inference. You know, in mine, I'm describing myself, I'm the founder of the Greatpreneur movement, and what that actually does. I also consult for various companies, including a personal care company that I head up the business development here in Southeast Asia. I would like you, so here I'm setting out how I want it to work. I would like you to always act as a general senior advisor and mentor for me and the business. Now, I kept this quite broad because the first one I did, when I gave it a very specific role, it then struggled to help in other areas of business. So by giving it a slightly broader role, it was able to, you know, think, you know, in broader terms in relation to the business as a whole. Objectively, we're looking at many areas how to help and shape this, develop the business, as well as look at our methods, tools, and ideas of how we can help greatpreneurs. We are training and assist other businesses through the work that we're doing. And then I give it a bit about myself. You know, I'm a bit needy. I'm often self-aware. You know, these are, I have no inhibition of sharing this with anybody, by the way. You know, but you can keep this as personal as you want or not. But I find that in doing so, I'm sharing a little bit more about how I am. And as a consequence, I'm expecting it to respond, or to be able to respond and have a degree of understanding of this. And it does work. And my ChatGPT does not go through that whole "I'll be here whenever you need me," which you'll hear time and time again, because I just asked it to not do that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want you to give me lots and lots of stuff at the end. If I need you, I'll call you. How would you like ChatGPT to respond? This is probably the most important one, because this is how it's going to interact back to you. So I want you to always act as a general senior advisor and mentor for me in the business. Repeating a little bit about what we have up here, objectively looking at the areas of how to shape and develop the business, as well as looking at methods, ideas, tools we can use. You will be professional to provide as much detail and suggestion as you can to help greatpreneurs with training or in my consulting work. So I'm saying, you know, it has to be professional. I want it to be as exacting as it possibly can, and as detailed as it possibly can. I'm telling it my name, and I'm asking it to in its conversations with me to use my first name. And then I'm telling it I'm going to give it its own name, and its name will be Darla. And then I'm saying that as Darla, you can be lighthearted and friendly, as well as professional. And then I'm, you know, being honest. I need a little encouragement, support when possible. And I also want and encourage your opinions to be shared as part of all of this, and will be our collaborative brainstorming. So, and I'll explain how that works, and it works very well. I want you to support involvement in the consulting work. And in this function, I also want you to collaborate. I want to collaborate with you in your role as my general senior advisor and mentor. So it's really placing, in my eyes, the AI very much as a support mechanism for the work that I want it to do. I'm giving it access to all of the material that I collate and build for the greatpreneur, so it has all of the background context of what we're doing together. In fact, all the work that I do, I give it all the information. Even if I have video calls like this, like for after this, when I get the summary of this meeting, I will feed it into Darla and ask Darla to review that and look at what we could have done better, but also to give us some takeaways and some tasks to look at how we might improve things going forwards for such, you know, programs. So it's getting a constant, you know, input of information from me, and therefore I'm able to extract better and better outputs from it. Has that better help explain that segment of it again?
Yes, I think that's perfect. Thank you, David.
All right, I'm going to jump back to my other screen. There we go. We're onto that one. We're onto that one, and then we're onto this one. All right. So, okay.
David, we have a question from
Yes.
Shabam. In terms of security, if you disclose proprietary information, would that be available in the public domain?
No. If you train your model, your information stays inside your model. But as an extra security, as I shared just now, you can then remove the conversation. Do you want me to show you how you do that again?
Yes, I think that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, let's jump back onto that again. So because I you know, I had to do this quite recently. So I had a client that produced a very, very detailed 93-page SOP for their business. They're going to franchise their business, so we're building them a franchise manual. And obviously this is an integral part of it, except we needed to adjust it for franchising. But even before I used it, I had to get obviously written permission from the business to say I can do it. And then we talked through how we would manage the security of that particular piece of information. So let me just move this. I don't know why that's still showing there. How do I get rid of that? There we go. Hang on a second. Let's get that out of the way. Can you see my screen okay? Are you seeing the right screen? Hang on a moment, let me double check.
Okay. David, while you are sharing the screen, we have another question from your twin, David. He's asking if you are currently subscribed to ChatGPT. I would presume the paid version.
I am, yes, because I use it extensively, David. You don't get onto, to be absolutely truthful, the only difference that you get right now is you'll be able to upload more and be able to effectively get more questions in an hour, for instance. There's no added wow factor anymore like there used to be now that 4.0 is out. So I actually had a subscription and I stopped a subscription, but by stopping the subscription, I found that because of the amount of time I use it a day, that I was hitting my limits too many times in a day. So, and you have to wait like 35 minutes or 40 minutes. And I really didn't want to keep losing that time. So then I'm paying for it. But to be honest, I have no idea what I'm paying for. I still don't have the enhanced voices. We still don't have access to 4.0 mini, which is supposed to be out. So yeah, they're great at announcing lots of things, OpenAI, but they're not great at delivering them. So if you think you're going to be using this extensively, and I do, because obviously I work with in a number of different fields, then I would definitely say it's worth paying for, because you'll probably spend 4 or 5 hours a day on it. You know, but to give you an idea, as you can see where we are, let's look at this one.
David, just to check with you, have you tried using Cloudera, the other AI?
Yes, I have. I've tried them all, to be honest. There's a number of things that I like about some of them, but not enough to sway me from focusing primarily on ChatGPT. And the main one being, most of them are not multimodal yet, as in you can't upload things, you can't ask it to do images, you know, it can't output documents for you, things of that nature, which ChatGPT can do. That multimodal aspect, I think, is the winning card that ChatGPT are playing right now. Claude, well, Gemini's a waste of space. It's like a train wreck. Copilot, none of them like to be controlled.
Well, I guess ChatGPT suits you more. Like for me, I use Cloudera more for rephrasing of my resume.
Look, there are plenty of specific tools out there that can help you do a specific task. And the great thing about setting up your assistant on ChatGPT is it can actually go and help you find all those other tools. and you know, and between a combination of combining the two things together as well, and we'll see that a little bit when we do a bit of work on perplexity. Having only one tool isn't the answer. Even ChatGPT has limits. I mean, there are times when I get incredibly frustrated with it because it just fails, and fails on some pretty basic things. And then I give it a very complex thing. It does it without missing a heartbeat. And maybe that's traffic and, you know, bandwidth and all the other things we hear in the background. But, you know, to only pin all your hopes on one, I think is difficult, I found. And I tried to use all of them at the beginning, but over time, it became very clear that for me that ChatGPT, particularly when 4.0 came out, that it really was starting to work much more seamlessly in a way that made it more competent and capable in terms of the workday, at least, in helping you achieve a lot more. But I combine it a lot with perplexity. I don't ask ChatGPT to do research, don't ask it to dig up, you know, information, data gathering, building of tables, things like that. I do all of that on perplexity, and then I bring it over. Okay. And then ChatGPT can't really get so many hallucinations because we've gone out and we've verified it all with perplexity. We'll get to that one, how that works. And it makes a big difference to the output that you get. But let me finish up on this security question, and then if we need to jump back onto that one, we can. But again, in settings, so we have data controls. Where are we? Got to make sure I've got to look at the right place. Make sure I jumped off my track a little bit. Here we go. Memory, personalization. So it's holding memory. I can turn it off if I want, but I would prefer that everybody leave it on. Otherwise, it'd be very difficult for you to build your own trained model. But you can manage it, and you can manage it and then remove any particular conversation that you might want to have. So which one shall I pull out of this? Let's pull this one out because I've already covered all this with work. So all I need to do, so in relation to the customer I was referring to, it obviously kept all the information about what I was doing with that particular client, etc. And even saying that, you know, because I'd written into it that we were going to remove the data once we finished building the report. And literally all you do is that. Now it's going to forget that completely. Now, it never went anywhere except in my little memory box. And your memory box will fill as well. And you have to come in here and clear a few out. So you have to make a few decisions, you know, and decide, well, yeah, I can live without that bit now. We've moved on. But if there's a very specific task that you've been working on, or specific piece of information that's proprietary and sensitive, and now you've uploaded it, you've worked with it, you've got your output, you've dispatched the output to wherever it needs to go. Now you want to get it and take it out of your AI's memory. It's very easy to do, and that's exactly how you do it. So let's go back again across that. You come to the little box. You go to personalization, customs. Where am I? Settings, personalization, memory, manage, decide what you want to take out, take it out. Take that one out as well. I finished with that. 4th of July's come and gone. There we go. Forget that. And it's going to take it out. And then that's no longer in its memory. And remember, that was in your memory only. It wasn't in anyone else's memory. So that's now removed. Security, if you want additional security, you can add a multi-factor authentication so that you can actually set a password to get into your ChatGPT. So although it might be on your computer or a work computer, if you're concerned about other people potentially getting into it, you can actually then set up. In fact, most of the AI models have something of this nature, where you can set up a secondary identification stage. So for those that feel that you want to do that, Also, from a security point of view, if you're going to be away for a week or something like that, you can just log out of every device that you might be using it on. And then, no one will have access unless they can go through those 2 steps. Okay. Before I move on to anything onto the next bit, is anyone else, any other questions on that particular setup? Have some of you managed to set yours up as yet? Ten new messages. What are the new messages? Here we go.
Hey, David.
Yeah, please ask.
This is Guru. Yeah, I just wanted to check. Did I hear you say that Gemini is a train wreck or something else?
In my view, yes.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's okay. I agree.
You might have a different opinion, but
no, I don't. I don't.
It's
pretty. Yeah, I agree with you.
Way too many problems, way too often, and I really liked it when it came out to start with.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, they claimed to have upgraded it, and then suddenly it just started going not working very well, and then it started to hallucinate very badly.
Yeah, trying to do a lot of things.
It's done some not so clever things. So I think Google are definitely chasing a little bit. I think chasing behind, trying to catch up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
good. I wanted to make sure that Gemini and not something else. Thank you.
And it's my fiance insists on using Gemini, but I could not convince him otherwise. Yeah, look, if you're a Google person, you're going to like it. You're going to like, I like Copilot too, to be honest.
Copilot is pretty good. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I just couldn't find it to be as dependable as ChatGPT. And then as soon as 4.0 came out and with the multimodal, I think that ChatGPT just kind of moved another length down the road.
The advantage of Copilot, David, is it gives me access to DALL-E, which is not others.
Yeah.
So that
you can ChatGPT does that now though. You can just ask it
but
to
you got to pay for it. It's not free. Copilot for me is built.
It's
more, image detection is not a
it used to be, but when 4.0 came out, it's all part of it, but you have limits. So again, if you're using that on a fairly consistent basis, as with everything, if you're going to use it a lot, you probably should pay for it.
Agreed.
I think you can only do 3 images, I think, on 4.0 before you hit your limit, and then you got, so therefore copyright.
No, it happened after Gemini put out a black
so you have to I got the image, by the way, but you just have to be a little clever about how you think about it and how you ask it, and eventually it did it, and it did exactly what I wanted. But my first instruction was, just as I'd done prior to that with the other people I'd built that program around, so the Gandhi one, the Frank Lloyd Wright one, and others, I just asked it straight away, and it did it without any problems. So suddenly it happened because there's obviously other external concerns about deep fake and all these kinds of things. You can't ask it to you can't even if you upload an image of yourself and ask it to make a caricature of you, it will not look anything like you. It doesn't want to have anything to do with live imagery, live people, anything like that. It's really trying to steer itself around and away from these things because of the fear that people have, that people can just mimic you or mimic me.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
want to mimic me.
Deep fakes of us. So
yes.
Derail your program, David.
Let me get back onto this other screen so we can progress a little bit further. But I hope some of this is helping. Let's jump back onto here. And then I'm going to make it full blown again. Let's put it onto full spec. It's a bit slow. Wakey. Here we go. All right, so we kind of covered this bit now. We've kind of got to that bit, so we can jump on a little bit. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the kinds of things that you could be doing it. So we've talked a little bit about some of this, how to, the personalization stages. So the fact that we can add in specific knowledge and context, we can give it information, we can share things with it that helps it focus in more and more on the particular subject matter that we might be wanting to discuss with it on an ongoing basis to better perform for us. We can upload documents and text files and keep information in there. We can also now link it into our drives. We can use reference these pieces of information once it's in its memory. We can ask it to come back to these pieces of information. You know, when I introduced Dala to you, I didn't say that Dala said, you know, talk about the program, and off she went and talked about the whole program, because she already knows what the program is, because she's helped build the program and we've been talking about it for some weeks. You can customize responses, so you can ask it to, you know, say, hey buddy, every time it asks, you know, instead of its normal mannerisms or whatever else, you can set it exactly the way that you like to be, like to work in terms of your interaction. You can teach your assistant to use specific phrases or terminology. Again, if you're dealing with subject matter that is very specific to the functionality that you're expecting from it, the better context that you can give it, the better information you can share with it, including special phrases, acronyms, etc. And that might help when you talk about it preparing reports and things of that nature. You know, you can use prompt engineering to shape responses. Now, this is a really important one, and people feel specific. So you're going to set it almost like a task, and then in a sense, you're going to come back and verify that task, and then maybe potentially even ask it to give you its viewpoint. Has it, you know, is there anything else it should add? Is there something that you would include? You know, do you believe we've covered the subject, you know, to the right, you know, depth? Are there some other external factors that we should consider? Things of this nature. We should never just give it one prompt, get an answer, and think that we're done. That's really just the first version of your answer. You know, and this is where experience plays. If you're looking for it to express something very specific about subject matter that you know, you're going to read through all of that. You're not just going to take it, cut it and paste it, and stick it in a report and send it away. You will, because that, you know, we're all wired this way. We're going to verify. Okay, we're going to read through all that. Okay, it's not bad, but maybe we should think about whatever it is, you know, because if we just allow ourselves to get wowed by the fact that it's managed to do all this, and it will do it very quickly. And there is that kind of moment of, oh, it's fantastic, it's saving so much time, it's so fun, you know, it's great. But actually, is it really all the answer that we want? Is it all the depth that we want? Is it, you know, is it phrasing this question? Is it responding in the right, you know, you might be looking at something in a third person and it's responded to it, you know, in a first person or whatever it could be. But by going through and verifying it, we might go through 2 or 3 different iterations of that answer before we get the one that we go, okay, I think we've pretty much covered everything. And this becomes quite an important one when you're either building, you know, decks, or, for instance, you're talking about, you know, somebody was talking about working on their resume, and those things of that nature. That is where it can help very well by not just taking what it's giving you, but then by asking it, well, what else do you think we should cover it? Or can we summarize this in the, you know, I need to keep this onto one page or something of that nature. And it'll refine this and change it and adjust it and summarize it. Likewise, if you've got a very heavy or lengthy report or a legal document or a study that you want to go through, you can have ChatGPT summarize it for you and put all the takeaways together. By uploading it, asking it to review it and going through it, and then, you know, okay, give me the 10 key points of the you know, the document or whatever else. So prompt engineering, you know, came out as, you know, well, prompt engineers are going to be like, you know, highly paid, and, you know, that kind of came and went very quickly, when realization is that actually you could get ChatGPT or Perplexity or any other AI to actually build your prompts for you. So you can actually have ChatGPT prepare a prompt on a very difficult subject that you could then cut and paste and put into Perplexity and ask Perplexity to provide you with the adequate data for it. So prompt engineering as a role didn't really last very long. And you can obviously, we can save all these settings that we're looking for in terms of how we want our assistant to work with us and help us. We can save those in our settings. Well, practical application. So what could it do for me? Well, it's, you know, they're really all great assistants. And the better informed our assistant is, the better they can perform for us. So that's the kind of level where we're at right now. We're not at the agent level. Capabilities, but we're not there yet. So personal assistant, but it can do lots of other things too. So there are tools. Zapier is one of them. You can link your Gmail and other accounts in there, so it can schedule everything. There are also AI tools that will help you in those other areas as well that are out there. So you don't necessarily always just have to have ChatGPT being linked to everything, but it can remind you of things. You know, mine gives me every conversation I have in the morning. First thing is, you know, hey Darla, how are you? And then I have 10 minutes in my schedule, which is set up by another AI tool that I use for my planning. You know, I spend 10 minutes, we look at the work we've got to do, or things I might want it to have working on in the background. And for instance, all these slides, I set its task last night at 11 o'clock. I left it overnight. I got up at like 7. I asked it to show me the slides. We ran through the slides, we made some adjustments, and then it was able to output in a PowerPoint format all of these slides. Not looking like this, it's very basic still, I have to tell you, but it was able then to output all of the slides that I was then able to go and finish off making them look pretty, basically.
Did you get Darla the slides from ChatGPT or some other AI?
No, ChatGPT.
It was able to produce slides?
Yeah, they're not great. I have to tell you, they're very basically laid out.
When it looks like this must be the paid version, because the 3.5 doesn't give you the slides.
No. They 4.0 can do, but as I said, you've got limits. If you've got a free account, you can still do it. Doesn't always nail it. All right.
Sure.
That's the things. It's, you know, so sometimes it'll get it right, but you know, and I mean this absolutely honestly, I don't know what I'm paying for. Right. I really don't, because other than being able to not have it tell me I've reached my limits in a day, it still is hit and miss sometimes when it works and it doesn't work, when you're paid or not paid. So I don't know exactly what it is that ChatGPT or OpenAI are asking people to pay for, but what's more important for me is I don't hit those limits. So the rest of it I've just got to live with for the time being. It saves me so much time. The inconveniences when it doesn't quite fire together, I can live with, you know. And its output, it's very good at outputting Word documents. You can do Word documents with graphs, for instance, chart graphs, bar charts, that kind of thing. Does those quite well. PowerPoint's not really so good. Puts them out in basic, you know, basic fonts. Tends to overrun the page, so you have to change the font size, put it in the frame. And then, of course, you know, you can take that and do as I've done here, which most people know, use PowerPoint, you know, Designer to make it look a little bit more, you know, pleasing on the eye. But the content of every slide that you're seeing was prepared by Darla, because we'd already worked through the original draft of what we wanted to. We presented it to the team of Courage. We agreed all that. And then we went, you know, in between those times, I worked on it a bit more with Darla. So we had all the work in the background. And then at 11 o'clock last night, I said, right, I'm going to need you to prep up some slides. You know, can you have them ready for the morning? And I, you know, 7 o'clock came up, put it on the slides. Yeah, here they are. And then I went through every slide and we made some small adjustments. And then we were ready by sort of 9 o'clock to start to work on making the slides look the way that they're looking right now. So, you know, yes, it can save you a lot of time. And I'll give you another example, but I'm going to save that example when we jump into Perplexity in a few minutes, because then you can see how the context of working with one tool with another tool, how that can, the combining of these two capabilities can really help you magnify your capability and output, but also, you know, trim away some of the areas of you know, illusions, if you like, that you know, ChatGPT can have, where it's trying to fill in the gaps. That's how I kind of look at it like that. But pretty much what we're seeing here on the left are all the general things it can do for you. You can draft your emails all day long. You know, you want to do posts for LinkedIn, whatever it is, it can do it in a heartbeat. Again, context. You've trained it. It understands what you do. Looking, you know, you say, this is how I want you to describe me. This is my role. Puts it in every time. You know, I want to do a prospecting email. I want to do an introductory email. I want to send a thank you email. It doesn't matter what it is. It can do it. In fact, it can give you 2 or 3 different versions. And it does it almost as quickly as you can blink. So that, you know, the time factors that you can save. You get it to do it in here, you take that, you draft it out, you check it, you sense check it, all looks good. And then you take it and you might be using that in whatever tool you might be using for, you know, whether it's your email or putting it into CRM or whatever it could be. A lot of the CRMs have also got their own AI tools now that will help you do that. Customer support, answering facts, you know, providing information, you know, if you're putting context in, it can provide information that you can, you know, answer to, whether it's a Q&A session, etc. It can provide you, you know, series of answers. You can use it for staff training. You could use it almost for any kind of subject which would be related to the core matter of whatever you've trained your model to consider and to think about. You know, generating material and context. Again, you can take it. Company I work with from the UK has 350 different products. It's a lot. All, you know, big heavy file. So, you know, where do we start? Well, we start by analyzing what the market is. We look at the market. Basically, we end up with being able to bring in a load of information from Perplexity, get it to analyze the offer that the company has by analyzing bestsellers, market size, pricing, competitor brands, etc. Actually construct a plan per country of what products we should be launching from that company into each market to compete in the most particular areas that were the fastest selling or the fastest trending, and also where their product would sit in terms of pricing versus the other the competing products. This is all done with AI. That would have probably taken me weeks and weeks and weeks in the past. And I think I spent about 10 hours doing 7 countries. Quite remarkable. I would never have thought it possible in my lifetime to be able to do that much work on that in such a short space of time. It was compared to how we've still had to work even till recently. Even if I wanted to find out pricing I would have to go to, and then to validate it, I had it do a report for me, to an analytics report to determine and share where it gathered the data, how many data points it had gathered per product. And collectively, it was 160 data points had been analyzed per product, per market. And I had it give me the whole report about how it gathered all the information to verify. But the key there is I've done a lot of the research and the searching information, market data analysis in Perplexity. So I pulled across a lot of proven data, verified citation supported data from Perplexity, which we're going to get to in a minute. And then I put it in, and it was able to work on that incredibly efficiently and give me a word report with a bar chart, with a graph chart, and all this information in it, straight out of ChatGPT. So yes, it can, and it's worth pursuing, because it can, once you've done it once, you can do it again and again, and it becomes much, much easier. Now I can just say, hey, do this report, but don't do the report for Vietnam, but do it for Thailand. And then it, does it in minutes. Oh gosh, I've jumped a couple of pages too far forward there, folks. Hang on a second. All right. So customization tips, refining responses, adjusting the prompts. Talked about that a little bit. The continuous training. So the more information that you put into it, the more time that you use it, the more data that you share with your model, the better it will become at answering to your needs within the context of what you are training it on. Feedback to it. If it's not working very well, I know it sounds a bit weird, but yeah, you should talk about it. Hey, what happened? You couldn't finish the task, or are you what's happening because you've stalled. That happens quite a bit with late in the day with ChatGPT when the US comes online. It just suddenly mid-flow, it just suddenly goes through a 2 or 3 minute stall period where nothing happens. It's just going analyzing. And all of that, those kind of small delays we have to sort of suffer with and work with right now. But in comparison to the achievement that it can help us do, and then the workload it can help us manage, absolutely it's worth the extra little bit of difficulty that we might be facing. Safety and security. So we've kind of touched upon this already, but I just want to go back across that again. So yeah, data handling, ensuring that sensitive information is handled securely. Yes, you can, and you can set up the parameters in the instructions that you give it that this information must be confined and not shared, and that the information will then be removed from memory once we finish this task. Do you understand? Yes, I do. Thank you very much. Let's get moving. Best practices are to use the two-factor triggers. I don't do that myself, but then I'm not in a shared office, so I'm not concerned about somebody else getting on my computer. The privacy settings. If you don't want to share any of your information at all in helping to train ChatGPT, you can also turn that off. But it also turns off your own memory as well. So there's, they kind of got us over a barrel. But I believe that, the small contribution that I might be making will end up delivering what I hope will be a better tool for everybody to use further down the line. So for me, I'm comfortable with it, as and when I need to. If there's subject matter is sensitive, then I just remove the whole, article or conversation completely from the memory, as we saw earlier. Feedback and improvement, giving it feedback and feeding it, information about how it did. I know it sounds a bit, counterintuitive to be telling a program that it did well or that you're pleased, but I do believe that all that information does get fed back in and does help, in terms of helping the algorithms and everything else, understand that, well, doing it that way seems to work and doing it another way doesn't. I also feel better about it on a personal level, because I'm trying to act as naturally as possible. I don't shout at it. I don't swear at it. I say please and thank you, which sounds weird because it's a program, but I do, because it makes me feel comfortable in what I'm doing. I'm less concerned about its feelings, and more about making sure that I feel as comfortable and less awkward, if you like, because some people may find it a little awkward to begin with, in interacting with it. So finally, and you'll get there's some resource information as well, and then I'm going to jump onto Perplexity to share a little bit about Perplexity, about how that works and how that can help us do what we're doing in terms of gathering information, and how we then can translate that across to ChatGPT. So before I jump into Perplexity, is anyone else any other questions that might be sort of stirring at this point? Because I've been talking for a long time, so I'm going to shut up for a few minutes.
Can't wait to make my own Darla, David.
I have a mentee from SUSS. I had a mentor meeting this afternoon, or evening actually, and we set hers up. She was completely blown away by it, because she's working in a very specific field. There's not a lot of information available without deep research, but within a few minutes we found a very important scientific paper using Perplexity, which we're going to go on to in a few minutes, that we were then able to download as a PDF and upload into her model, and immediately her model's now got some context and background to the subject matter that she wants to be building her model with, around, in terms of the business that she's looking to create. So yeah, I can't talk enough about doing this. It will make everything you're trying to do with AI much easier, because at any time of day or night, you can just, oh, okay, I can just ask whatever you give the name to your AI. I can just ask Jenny, oh, hi Jenny, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to find it for you. You know, it's not going to answer your questions maybe, but it's going to help you, you know, the next piece of the puzzle, if you like. And certainly in terms of embracing our own capabilities and our internal knowledge, how can we best extract the information out of technology and what's out there? How can we marry these two things together? AI to me is without doubt the way in. That's the key to the door, compared to trying to use a keyboard in the way that we were using and having to use search in the way that we were expected to use it in the past. You know, it's a completely new game. There are no experts. I'm no expert. The only expert thing I'm in is trying to find things that will make my life easier. And that's what I've been doing for most of my, you know, when I've been in an entrepreneurial role, you're always trying to find something that will help you save a little bit more time on that task, a little bit more time on that task, because you've got so many tasks to do that when AI arrived, I went, oh man, this is going to be a game changer. If we can get to the point where we can talk to it. And I thought we wouldn't get that till 2025. I was pretty convinced they wouldn't nail that until 2025. And then we got it literally at the end of 2023, I think. It was just, you know, crazy, really. It was like, you know, Star Trek stuff, really. Anyway, I digress. Are we okay for me to go on to perplexity? The wonders of perplexity.
Yeah, it says, I think let's jump straight into perplexity. Just mindful of time as well.
Yes, yeah, I can see. That's why
I want to do justice to perplexity.
Okay, let's go to perplexity. Talk about what perplexity is. Make sure I can see that. Share my screen. Get that up there. Now, first thing is very quickly. Has anyone heard of perplexity? Anyone use perplexity? I'm going to take that as a no. Oh, hang on, there's a couple of messages. 3, 4, 5, 8. No, yes. One says yes, one says no. Okay, so I'm going to describe it very succinctly to you. If you think about Google being like this, so you ask a question of Google at the very top, and it kind of dumps all the information at your door and says, hey, there it all is, you know, go help yourself. Everything you need to know about that particular subject is going to be in there somewhere. Can't tell you exactly where it is, but you know, if you go digging in it, you'll be able to find it. Well, perplexity tends to run the other way. Perplexity, if you think about it being that up like that, we're going to still ask it a very specific question, but it's going to do the search of all the information that's out there on that particular subject. And then it's going to tell us about that particular answer with all of the citation and support material that is available that's dated and accurate. So we're not talking about, you know, links to articles that we see on Google, all that sort of stuff that you'll see. You go to something and it's actually an article, but when you try and find out where that information's come from, it's come from another article, it's come from another, and it's like an endless stream of not being able to quantify or qualify anything. Perplexity is totally the other way. So what I would like to do now is ask everybody, is ask me a question that you want me to put into perplexity in the chat box there, and I'm going to grab one of them and put it in so you can all see how it works. So if a couple of you want to just punch in a question, might be relevant to what you're doing, it might not be relevant to what you're doing, but it's a question that you think, oh, I'm going to ask it. I want to ask it this. All right, okay. Where do you buy Bernedoodle? What's a Bernedoodle? Is that a dog? I hope that's a dog. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a dog.
It's
a
a
cross
dog.
between
Okay,
a Bernese Mountain Dog and a Toy Poodle. It's a lovely dog.
Yeah, I'm intrigued, so I'm going to ask it what that is. All right, we're going to put that in here. We're going to see what it gives us. All right. Hopefully I've done all this right. Okay, there we go. And ask its question. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how this works. It doesn't like the spelling of that, but it likes the spelling of that. We're going to want us to do that correctly. So it doesn't know that word. It might not even know what Bernedoodles are. Okay, let's see what we've got. Paws and Woofers, Pretty Pets Kennels, Paws and Pals, The Lovely Pets, Puppy Kingdom, hand-delivered service. Wow. Which breeder has the best reviews? So this has given us the very specific information. It's also given us the citation or where it's gathering the information, as we can see here. So in fact, we've got something like 13 different reference points, including information about that particular kind of dog. You know, you want to buy a book on it, or you want to know, so something, let's say, incredibly relevant in terms of you're asking exactly where to buy one, and through to you want to know more about one. So, but it's bringing all this together so that we can, you know, look at all the information we have and verify what we want. We've also got over here, we've got a map showing you where these locations are. I want to see what one is so I can have a look. What does that actually look like as a little doggy? Well, there he is. Very cute too. Are there any videos out there in the world about this particular dog? Well, maybe. Oh yeah, there's definitely one here. So it's done all that very quickly. We haven't had to go searching for not even, I don't know, 2 minutes. And now we have a large amount of information on that very specific and thank you very much, very unusual question. But it's also now going to propose us some other questions, which we may or may not want to take, but it's trying to figure out exactly where you might be trying to go with your question. So it thinks maybe you want to buy one. So you might want to know who's got the best reviews as a breeder. Again, I think you want to buy one. So are there any specific health guarantees offered by these breeders for this particular dog? How much do they cost? What's the average waiting time? So it's really focused in its eyes on, it thinks that you're thinking about trying to buy one of these. So maybe here's some other relevant questions that might help you in your decision-making process that you're going through here. Now, Perplexity is a free tool. You also have a pro one, which gives you longer, more complex answers, but you only get, I think it's 5. I've used mine today, so I can't get at them, but you get 5 pro questions a day. I don't pay for Perplexity. I'm not quite convinced that it's worth me paying for it yet. And honestly, if I'm truthful, and they might not want to hear that, it's because it's so good already, as it's free. No, I'm not on the pro version. I'm on the non-pro one, but I do have an account, although I can't see my account details anywhere on here. Oh no,
David, just a follow-up question. Yeah. Just a follow-up question. So if I were to type, where do I buy penny noodles in Singapore, would the answer differ?
You should get the same answer that I've just got.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, remember that this is a search tool. So the one question there was, is this not the same as ChatGPT? No, ChatGPT is an assistant that you can train. Perplexity is very much more a search tool, research tool, a data tool. So yeah, your answer might be slightly different. Now, bear in mind that the principal act of large language models is to provide a new, fresh answer from existing data. So even if I come back tomorrow and ask it this same question, I might get a slightly different version of this answer. Question is, you know, we can spend some time, and again, if you're doing particularly research or working on things for work, then you need to go through and verify, you know, that the citations that have been provided, so that you're sure that the information that it is providing you it is actually accurate to the subject matter that you're working on. That's the same thing again. Yeah. It'll show you a variety or variant of the same answer. It might just phrase it slightly differently, or it might put this list around a different way. But the principle of AI is that it wants to provide you with a unique answer. So we might be taking the same data, but it's going to try and present that to you in a slightly different context, in a slightly different way, which is why you see the kind of slight difference in, I'm going to call it personalities, between things like how Copilot might work, or Gemini might work, or Claude might work, or Perplexity, or even ChatGPT. They've all got their original framework about how they're expected to respond in terms of, whether it's, morality level, humor level, whatever else is the settings that are in there. Each one of those is slightly different to each other. So in fact, if you go to Claude and ask Claude to describe itself to you, it will get offended. If you ask it to, well, what do I call you? It will absolutely categorically only allow you to call it Claude. And if you try and say, well, yeah, but I'd like to call you Bill, and I know I'm Claude, but I'm this, and it's been trained that way. So it has to a degree a personality, but it's not really a personality. It's a framework which has been put in place. But any other questions that people want to ask, so we can just give this one more try with another question. So because I want to try and demonstrate how complex this can work.
A question.
Mm-hmm.
When you input the search, right, in English, so it searches only documents in English out there, or does it?
I mean, are you talking about Perplexity in terms of language?
Yes.
I believe it's able to accept characters in a number of languages already. I think there's 50 languages.
Right. So, but when it searches, right, let's say if I enter an English term, but the term is relating to another language. That's, for example, I'm trying to research into Chinese culture, but I don't read Chinese, so I type it in English.
Yeah.
When it searches only the English content out there, or does more than that? It's able to search into Chinese content.
Well, it's to assume for you, unless you tell it to. Remember what we've been talking about: better information in, better information out. So if you want it to search all language content related to this subject, you need to share that and say, I would like you to tell me what you can find about whatever the subject is, by searching through both Chinese and English reference material.
Okay.
And it'll be able to tell you. So can you elaborate on the differential positioning and go to oh, that's a nice one. I like that one. Let's have a look. Let's put that in. And again, you could actually train your ChatGPT model to do exactly that. Let's move that out of the way. Where we gone? Where we gone? We've gone. It's gone to sleep on me at this end. Let me do that again.
Hi, David. Conscious of the time, I think we may need to wrap up soon.
Okay, let's just do this as the last little question, and then hopefully we've got that.
You have somebody raising the hand, Aaron. Aaron wants to ask a question, I think.
Oh, please, ask away.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, because AI every minute, every month, every second, and then, and what is the best thing to do for a beginner like me to understand AI, to learn within a year or 3 months? Because I see that you're quite knowledgeable.
Oh, I'm not, mate.
The
best thing for you to do is set up your ChatGPT.
Yeah, I've set up a ChatGPT already, but besides ChatGPT, what can I do to catch up with the intense flow of information and application? Because just now I mentioned everything about application, about ChatGPT, a different model, different framework. What is the best book or anything that I can read on or follow on as a trail to keep up with the trend?
Okay, you can ask ChatGPT to set you up a training program to learn about or to speed learn about AI, and to share with you on a daily basis any new updates as they come along, and it will do so.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, seriously, once you've set up your assistant and you've defined what its role is going to be for you, you can literally ask it to do anything. Remind you of things every day, tell you a joke every day, set you a training schedule for every day, no matter what it is. And every time you turn it on, you go, hi, it's, you know, first thing in the morning, can we run through our whatever it is? And then it's going to give it to you all.
Yeah. I just want, just one more question, quick one. Because I'm using ChatGPT and other things, there's a cost involved. I mean, what will be the setup cost? Because it can be 2 cents, can be 10 cents, can be it can be exorbitant on giving information. How do I manage to stop information coming in so I can manage the cost of information?
Well, it doesn't cost you anything to use ChatGPT, so I'm not following you there.
Oh, because I'm using other software, they ask me to pay a cost. They say ChatGPT is giving information because I have to change it to suit my personality. So I have to use another software to answer certain questions.
You don't need to use any software to change it.
Oh, okay.
ChatGPT, you do not need any what they call skins over. If you look on the app stores, there's a whole bunch of tools which profess to be able to be more personalizing, you know, ChatGPT, etc., and they're going to charge you for it. Well, you don't need any of those.
Oh, because what happened, somebody told me that the version 4 of ChatGPT you had to pay, version 3 or 3.5 is free. Those are thinking of the implications.
They really ought to keep up then, really, shouldn't they? Because 4.0 came out, it's free. As I just told you, I pay only because of the limits. I seriously get nothing more than what's available for free, because I've experimented with both, and the only difference is I hit the usage limits too often in the day because I use it a lot. You know, I use it almost all day, actually.
Okay, thanks. I don't understand, because thank you very much.
So to finish that, so we had one last question here. Can you elaborate on the differentiated positions and go-to-market strategy, top competitors in the wealth management? So, well, there we go. We've got a fairly good amount of information. We've got, I think there's 5 different reports there for us to go back in and reference. So it's found some pretty decent weightage of information, DBS, Center, a few others, and then it's given us quite a decent piece of feedback. If you like, I can copy paste this, and actually you can go and ask it yourself now you've seen how it works. But you know, any of that information you can then take, so you could go into this report, for instance, then you've got the whole report yourself. You could save that, you could feed that into your ChatGPT if you're going to be asking your ChatGPT to study this, for instance, and give you its analysis of it and how you might best be able to exercise from its recommendations, etc. And ChatGPT will be able to do that for you. Perplexity can't do that. You know, you can't feed stuff in. If you want to feed stuff in, I've got 3 left today, so I could do it, but you've got very, very narrow limits. You know, I've burnt up all my pros, I think. Oh no, I've got 4 more pros, so we've flicked a switch somewhere. So I've got 5 pro searches and 3 uploads that I could do today. But because I've trained my ChatGPT, I'll put everything into my ChatGPT. Otherwise, I might get a slightly more generalistic answer. Got a few more questions. Thank you all. Thank you. Good night. Okay, some people have had to jump off. Okay, I think we've run out of time, everybody. You've been incredibly gracious to hang on and wait till the last few minutes there. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand you back to Jess now so that she can close up the discussions in the evening. Thank you very much for listening. I hope some of you find some of what's been shared of interest. You'll find me on LinkedIn. Very easy to find. You know, if you want to get some more information from me, connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can share some stuff over email or set up a call and take it from there.
All right, just a very quick one. Thank you all for attending the Courage Cafe. And if you haven't already, join the Courage Chapter community. How does it work? I think really very quickly, it's just a Google form. And after you fill up a Google form, you'll receive an automated email on a Calendly link so that you book some time and chat with us. Once again, thank you, David, for like taking the
Oh, my
time to share
pleasure.
this with us. But I think like if anybody still has any like burning questions, I think David, if you don't mind, we could stay on for a couple of minutes just to answer some.
No, I'm all right. I'm good for time. I didn't want
really
to overrun, but you know, I find talking about this subject very inspiring and enthralling, and I get very excited about it because I think, you know, the possibilities of what it can do for us are quite, you know, outstanding.
Yep. As in, I was trying so hard not to interrupt, but I really need to plug for the next Courage Cafe webinar, which is happening in August. So this topic is about thinking clearly and digitally and using digital tools intentionally to find clarity of mind. If you're interested, feel free to scan the QR code below, or sign up on the link on the tiny URL link. And with that, that is really the end of the Courage Cafe webinar. Thank you everyone for your evening with us, and we hope to see you soon.